So conference this week is a continuation of our studies of the history and the philosophy of yoga. We're in chapter 2 now of The Heart of Yoga by Desikachar. And this week we're looking at the idea of avidya. And what is avidya? Peter?
Avidya is incorrect perception.
Yes, so it is one of the basic fundamental ideas of yoga is that we are holding up the mirror. We talked about that last week, that this is a practice of darsana. We're looking at ourselves, and in that we see sometimes that we have incorrect perceptions. And then what is vidya?
That would be correct perception.
Exactly. So what are our perceptions clouded by if we look at the little tree that Desikachar has in the book here? There are these different branches. I'm just going to tell you guys so we can get more information out to everybody today. It's the ego, it's making demands, it's rejection, and it's fear. So the last couple weeks, we haven't been able to talk so much about this on our conferences on video, but we've been discussing the psoas, this major muscle in our bodies. And we've been saying that first we need to strengthen the psoas muscle. That was 2 weeks ago. Last week we talked about stretching the psoas muscle. And this week, I'm using my favorite, The Soas book by Liz Koch. We need to, what's the third thing we need to do to the psoas muscle? Relax it, right? Release it. And we actually can't release it through pulling on it, through stretching on it. The only way we can release it is through a very static exercise. We say a Soas release. But understanding the Soas, we talked about last week that sometimes it gets tense or it gets jacked up or in contraction because of sitting for too long is one reason, right? But another reason, and this is huge, this is very important for all of us to understand, is because of the fear reflex. And so I don't have time to read it on the tape today, but if you do get a chance to look at Liz Koch's stuff, she not only does a great job at looking at the anatomy of the psoas, but also the emotional component of how we hold things in our body, how we hold things in this muscle that cause us to have this back pain and not being able to release this large muscle. So when we do the psoas release, which is just laying on the floor with the knees bent at 90% of an angle, what we want to do is just take nice, long, deep breaths, particularly exhales, right? We understand that the exhale is what's going to help us move into that relaxation. So coming back to our teachings this week on perception, we know that perception is everything. So perception being everything, we understand that the more we sort of take looks at ourselves, we see our own thinking about things. You know, I was using an example that we could have all gone to a concert last night, and Peter could have come to the class and said, that concert was amazing, the band was amazing, and I was with my friends and we were laughing and having fun. And Rita could have come and said, I hated that concert last night. That was the worst music ever. It was so loud, and someone was smoking next to me, and it was getting in my lungs, and right? So it's the same thing happening, but we have different perceptions of it, right? And that is, then it becomes for us like, what are our own perceptions of things, and how do we view our world around us? And yoga gives us this great lens to start to see ourselves through. And so fear is one of the ways that it clouds our vision, one of the many ways that we're talking about in yoga that clouds our vision. But the great thing about yoga, it's not enough for us to just understand that, that sometimes we have correct and sometimes we have correct perceptions, but that what do we do about that? So the other book I'm recommending this week, this is like the book week, is Buddha Brain. And we have this on our website, so you can look it up. But I love Buddha Brain, and I was reading about the part in Buddha Brain which has to do with Buddhism and neuroscience, where they talk about the darts. The first dart gets thrown, and that's what? A situation happened. You know, my landlord came to me and said, oh gosh, Di, the rent's going up, and things are kind of tough around here, and that's the first dart. It's real. My landlord talked to me about the payment of the rent, right? That's the first one. Then what's the second dart? Do you guys familiar with this concept? The second dart is my perception around that, or my thinking around that. So then it becomes, oh my gosh, I'm going to be evicted. Oh my gosh, she's going to raise the rent so high I can't afford to live here. And then, oh my gosh, when am I going to live? So it's never even just like the second dart itself. Usually there's a whole section of second darts, and then more second darts and more second darts. So the next thing I know, I have myself like trying to figure out where I'm going to live, and I'm not going to have enough money, you know, to live or whatever. And this is this concept, which again is perception. One of the things we talked about in class this week was sometimes that first dart, this is kind of sad, sometimes the first dart's not even accurate. In my situation, it could be that the landlord was going to raise my rent, but it also could be that he wasn't. He just wanted to talk to me about his own problems, you know, and all of a sudden now I'm trying to find a new place to rent and I'm all upset, and there's really no issue, right? That's, again, it's a perception issue that comes up for us, that we are constantly, you know, getting this information in life, and it's so much about how we perceive this information. So the great thing about yoga is that there's a medicine here for us. So understanding that there's 3 different ways that we can deal with having to look and understand our own perceptions of things. And those 3 things are, I'm just going to tell you what they are. They're tapas. You guys familiar with that one? Svadhyaya, everyone that practices the Shala knows Svadhyaya, in Ishvari Pranadhana, which is a mouthful, right? What's tapas? How is that medicine for us with this? Because no, tapas is like heat, fire. We use a physical fire practice to sweat. And the main thing to remember about this is it's cleansing. So it's very cleansing for me to come to this practice. It's very cleansing for my body. It's very cleansing for my spirit. So I can tell you guys, like, I came here today in kind of a bad space. I wasn't feeling that great. I had something run in my brain a little bit or whatever. And I'm on my way here and I'm like, I just thought this. I'm like, this is my medicine. I cannot wait to get to my mat today, because I know I'm going to be here in the dragon. I'm going to sweat it out, and I'm going to get focused. I'm going to be so into what I'm doing with all of you and just present in the moment. And I know that's going to make me feel better. That's tapas. The second, svadhyaya, is what? Self-study. Sva means self. Adhyaya is to study or observe something. But you know, the definition I really love is it means to get close to something. So the true translation is to get close to yourself. Do you ever have those days where you just feel like, I feel so far from myself? I feel so disconnected. You know, there's stuff running you or whatever, and you just... And again, it's this medicine. You come to your mat, and Svadhyaya is the one place where you're looking at yourself, you're studying yourself. The mirror is held up for you, and you begin to see, if I get close to myself, who am I? What do I want? What's really going on with me right now? You know, that's good medicine for us. Every time we come to our mat, we have the ability to take that medicine. And the third one, sometimes the translation's a little tricky on this one. Ishvari Pranadhana means to be one with God is one of the major translations of it. And someone in class gave me another translation which was so beautiful. She said it is really the surrendering. Because I understand everybody has different spiritual paths, different practices, what you see as God or whatever. But that being the overall, like, beautiful presence of something that we can't always control things, so sometimes we're able to just let go and surrender into them. And I love the analogy with the psoas muscle, because, you know, in the first class when I was demonstrating the psoas release, and Peter knows this because he's a body worker, the one thing you can't do is push, 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 and try to release that muscle with, like, effort, you know. You can go to the best masseuse and it's just a tough muscle once it's all tense to get it to release. And it's kind of the same idea with Ishvari Pranadhana. It's like it's the time in our life where we need to really surrender into something and to let go into something. And within our practice, it's so present for us. It's that medicine that sometimes I'm here, and as much as I'm in Chaturanga, I need to release into up dog and flow into up dog and let go. Both physically in our practice, and also there's always that, you know, that beautiful emotional component to everything that we're doing here, where we're really practicing what it means to let go. In our meditation today, we did the alternate nostril breathing, the Nadi Shodhana breath. And we inhaled and we talked about receiving, and we exhaled. We in the meditation looked at just letting go. What in your life can you surrender to and let go as part of our medicine of yoga as well. So, you know, I was saying that these three things combined is considered Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga is a very cleansing yoga. It's what's really considered action yoga. And that means that every time we're on our yoga mat, it's a yoga of action. It's not passive. You know, for us, it's this ability for us to continue to move on our spiritual path, on our physical path, on our energy path to becoming better people. So I'll end with a quote for this week, which is truly one of my favorites, from Annis Nin, for our studies on our perceptions, the way we see things. She said, "We do not see things as they are, we see things as we are."